Okay, guys, welcome back again. Now, I'm going to speak about the TX, but today I'm going to begin with the engine. Now, this car comes in two models. Of course, when you speak about the engine, you have to specify which one is the fuel. By fuel, I mean diesel or petrol. Now, 2017 to 2023, Land Cruiser Prado has no hybrid. Know that, you must know that. So all of those streams comes in petrol or diesel, automatic or manual. Okay, that is by the way, but majorly I'm speaking about the engine model, which is, if it is a diesel, it is 1GD. If it is a petrol, it is 2DRE. One of the best and perfect engines in terms of fuel consumption. Now, of course, those engines are V6 engines. Of course, some have 8 transmission speed, but most of them are 6 transmission speeds. Now these engines, they have approximately 350 horsepower with the capability of having 1,000 meters of torque. By torque, I mean the pulling force, and of course, horsepower is the strength that the engine produces, that the engine has, and the pulling force is in terms of like the weight. The meters of torque is like the weight of the cargo that Land Cruiser Prado TX can tow or can pull. By that, I can mean that a Land Cruiser Prado can pull another Land Cruiser Prado, or it can even pull a V8 engine or a V8 car, Land Cruiser V8 engine. So we have 1GD and the 2TRE, that's for the petrol model. It produces on average 350 to 400 horsepower. Now this car, the RPM, that is revs per minute, it can go from 0 to 60 within 15 seconds. In that sense, if you're on the road, it is very clear. You can accelerate from 0 to 50. And that is what I mean. That is what I mean by RPM.
Transmission.
What is it? Transmission, yes, of course, that is either automatic, manual, we have semi-automatic, semi-manual, we have hybrid cars, but for a TX it comes in two. That's why I told you, manual, automatic. But most people prefer automatic these days. Why? Because people, unless if you're a person who's obsessed with detail, you want to have control over everything, you can go for a manual car. And also, if it is a diesel model, yes, the manual is the best. You can control it efficiently, and yes, you can control your speed. In that sense, you can control the full machine. But for a person who really, a person who doesn't care about all those details, they just want to enjoy your money in peace, there is an automatic version of the TX Land Cruiser Prado, both in diesel and petrol.
So did you talk about the torque and the horsepower? So briefly, what does the torque mean and horsepower?
Now, torque,
to a layman, what does it really mean?
Horsepower, that is the strength of the engine. The Toyota Land Cruiser Prado has 350, as close to 350 horsepower. Yeah, it has to 350 horsepower. A Toyota TX, both in diesel and actually it has a 200 Broncos it has 203 to 204 horsepower. Now by horsepower, it is the strength of an engine. Strength of an engine. How much energy does the engine produce? In fact, how much energy is the engine capable of producing? That is what is meant by horsepower. Let's imagine 204. Count the number 204 horses. How many? Those are 204 horses. What can they pull? What amount of energy can be there? Do you understand? Now, torque, by torque, as I told you, is the pulling force. Torque, in terms of torque, we speak about towing capacity. By towing, I mean pulling, holding. Let's say, for example, you can have a carrier, and that carrier has an extra carrier or an extra carriage having, let's say, a mobile house. You know, you can tow a boat. You can tow extra bikes, you know, for bikers who go and hike mountains. Land Cruiser Prado can tow up to around 500 Newton meters of torque. Like you said, it can tow something worth of that weight, 500 Newton meters of torque. Yeah.
So do you know something about the RPM, that is the rev per minute?
Yes. Now RPM is rev per minute. Now, as I told you, rev per minute is this. How fast can a car move from 0 up to this? In other sense, how fast can it rev? If let's say we give it 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, what kilometers per hour on the dashboard can it show? Or can it rev within those seconds? So, like I said, RPM is revs per minute. They show rev per minute, but we specifically want to show you that this car can move from 0 up to 60 kilometers per hour within 30 seconds or even less.
What of acceleration?
Acceleration is also close. Acceleration simply is it's a layman's word for RPM, but RPM simply means acceleration.
So talk about the make or the brand.
Of course, now the brand of course is Toyota, as I told you, and the make is the Land Cruiser Prado. Land Cruisers, yes, we have okay, now Land Cruisers, we have capabilities in Lexus, we have capabilities in LC300, we have capabilities in the V8, and by the V8 there is the TXR, there is the ZX. There's so many Land Cruisers, are so many, but now the Land Cruiser with the engine capacity that is so low, it is the Prado, Land Cruiser Prado, and the entry trim is the TX.
Okay. So what of the CVT? What does CVT mean?
CVT is another word for, it's an engine type. And by that, yeah, it was supposed to be spoken about in the transmission. Yeah, because it is a hybrid. CVT means a hybrid, but Toyota Land Cruiser Prados up to 2023 don't have CVT engines. And CVT engines are hybrid engines. Like the sense, these engines you can find them in small cars, for example, in Daihatsu. You can find them in any hybrid car. For example, this Toyota Fielder, you can find them having CVT engines. Now, these CVT engines, at a certain speed on the road, they switch from fuel to electricity. Like the sense, they have an extra battery.
So what are hybrid engines?
As I've spoken, hybrid engines are the CVT engines. These are engines that can go off fuel and switch to electricity generated within the battery of the car at a certain speed, of course, on the road.
So briefly talk about the diesel and the petrol vehicle.
Okay, now diesel and petrol vehicle. Now, first and foremost, diesel. If you look at the curve, the fuel curve, or let me say the crude oil curve, when they're processing everything, you know, there is gas, there is methane, there is kerosene, sorry, there is petrol, of course, there is diesel, there is the lowest layer that is used even to make roads. But now we're going to speak about petrol and diesel. Now, diesel is crude, and the combustion of diesel takes long, but petrol is light. That's why a petrol car accelerates faster than a diesel car. But again, these two have advantages and disadvantages. If you are a person who's going to be more of a town service, and by town service I mean the biggest you can do is maybe Ono, Wakiso, Etewe, town service, or maybe at worst Masakano. If you're a person who's going to be there in town service, of course I would recommend to get a petrol car, petrol engine, the TRE engine. Why? Because this first and foremost, it is light, yes. In terms of service, it is easy to service, and the car itself, it won't be very expensive in terms of fuel prices compared to, yes, it will be moderately, this will be expensive, but it is manageable. Now for a diesel is heavy, and diesel for long journeys, it is the best. Number one, it is cheap. As I told you, yes, it is slow. The combustion rate of diesel is not as fast as petrol, and that's why when you set these cars in a race, the petrol car is going to race faster, accelerate faster than the diesel. But at a certain speed on the road, the diesel engine car is gonna be okay. As I've said, at a certain speed, the diesel car is gonna be more faster than the petrol car. Why? Because the diesel engine produces more energy than the petrol car. But let us leave those dynamics. In terms of applicability and functionality, I would say petrol is cheap. Petrol is cheap in terms of maintenance, but expensive in terms of fuel. And if your person is going to be traveling long distance, it is expensive, but cheap in terms of maintenance. Now, diesel is cheap fuel-wise, but maintaining a diesel, like, you can also feel it in your pocket. It can really go deep. And especially if you just move in town service, that is too much deep. It's better if you move in town services. That there you cannot feel the pain.
So can you also talk about the drive?
Of course, now the drive will have the right-hand drive and the left-hand drive. Now Uganda, of course, Uganda is still on British standard. That is the right-hand drive.
As in drive, I was trying to talk about the two-wheel and the four-wheel drive.
Oh, okay, that is the terrain. Okay, now.
So the drive is called the terrain, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now by drive, of course, okay, let's take it as a two-wheel or four-wheel. Now, TX.
Before the two-wheel and four-wheel, are there other types of drives?
No.
Or we only have two and four? Okay, expound on that.
Now, two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. Now, I would recommend four-wheel. Why? Because these days you can find yourself off-road and you're stuck in a ditch. A two-wheel drive will be stuck. Of course, you're gonna call out someone to come and tow you out. But a four-wheel drive car, all tires are going to pull themselves. Like I said, if the back tires fail, the front tires are going to come in and pull the car out of that ditch. Also, okay, now we shall come to that part later. But two-wheel and four-wheel, of course, two-wheel, most cases they are, depending on the car make, but for the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, most of them are four-wheel drive, especially the ones starting from 2018 and above, four-wheel drive.
So to be more specific, if I'm driving, when do I apply the two-wheel and when do I apply the four-wheel?
Most cases, if you're on the road, and by the road I mean tarmac road, it's gonna be two-wheel drive. Why? Because a four-wheel drive you can lose balance on a four-wheel drive. But if you are off-road and you are, let's say you are on a slippery slope, and you're climbing a hill, you need to apply this the four-wheel drive, because the tires at a certain point can lose contraction, but the front tires probably can have contraction, and the back tires can lose contraction. So the front tires will come in and hold the car. This will give support to the back tires and it moves. But if it is a four-wheel and you find yourself whereby the two-wheel is applied on the back tires and you're on a slippery ground or maybe in a ditch or let me say off-road, you're going to be stuck in that area. People have to come and push you out, or else you have to go for a breakdown.
So what's the difference between, say we are all on a hill, all a slopey whatever, and it's really sloping. So what's the difference between me who has no drives in my car but I'm driving normally, and that one which has the drive, the 2 and the 4 wheel?
Now, all cars, of course, you cannot be with a car that doesn't have a drive. It either has to be two or four wheel. But as I've said, this is applicable in terms of a situation. It is a scenario that causing for these two models to be applicable. Four wheel drive, if you're off road, it is good. You won't be stuck. But two wheel drive, you're gonna be stuck.
So we are going to talk about the year now. Here that some years come with different specifications.
Yeah.
So what's the difference more so in the year of the vehicle? What could you talk about? More so in this scenario, we're talking about the TX.
Okay, now, for example, a TX, because now the year it affects in terms of prices, and by prices I mean by the taxes and of course the cost of the car, and also the add-ons.
The
Add-ons like the different specs that we can add on a given year, but wasn't on the prior year. Now, of course, now TX is standard high on the ground off-road, but 20, you can find that on a 2022, you can find that this car has a sunroof, and the 2020 doesn't have a sunroof. You can find that this car has 360 camera, but this car doesn't have. I mean, the previous year doesn't have. You can find that this car has an off-road, rather a hill descent capability, but this car, the previous year model, doesn't have. So in years, different specs are added on, and that is where the year comes in, especially in terms of prices and minimum specs that that bring that luxury or give you the worth of what you're buying.
So now let's go to, we talk about the interior of the car.
Okay.
So in the interior, we shall talk about the steering, obviously the dashboard. Let us now look at the dashboard, the steering, then the seats, and the entire interior, the side mirrors, the doors, specifically the interior of the car, the comfort you get when you're in the car.
Okay.
Briefly.
Now, the TX, of course, now this car's, if we look at the second row, if it is a 7-seater capability, of course it has the mirrors, the first, the second, and third. Now the second row, there is enough leg room when you sit. Like you said, you can sit and straight. Your legs cannot be strained as much. The front seats, not even front seats, all seats are power seats. In that sense, power seats really are adjustable. They are automated in such a way that you don't have to again to pull something and goes down. No, just press a button. Goes up, in front, back. Increase on the size, the back size, back ring size, whether front or back. Now those are seats. Now these seats, they are leather seats. Now heated seats have been introduced from the 2020 up to the 2023 models. The heated seats come in. That's just another add-on that comes with it. Of course, climate control. These cars must have AC, guys. 2023, let me say 2018 to 2023, climate control is also another add-on that comes with the car. And by climate control, I mean AC. You can have AC on the back for the guys who are sitting in the middle row, AC for the front person, the driver, and the second seat on the left. Or rather left, So that is climate control. The seats, of course, leather. Some are not leather. Some are perforated seats. Some are fabric seats. Now the dashboard. This car, of course, the entertainment system that comes in the car. It is modern. It's a TX, guys. There's nothing big that can come with it. TX majorly focuses on performance and rather than luxury. So you can have Bluetooth, of course, that's an add-on, but this car doesn't come with Apple Play or Apple Play, yes, and something Android Play, yeah, Apple Play and Android something, I've forgotten it, but I'll give it to you. This car, the TX model, doesn't come with. Of course, you can connect and yes, it gives you a screen. The screen is, I think it is 12-inch screen. It's not a touch screen. Some models are not a touch screen, others are touch screen. As I told you, if they're done by matte black edition or Argento. The dashboard, of course, entry dashboard. Note that what is it? Digital. It is an analog dashboard. Of course, you're gonna see the analog meter hitting the maximum off. Then we also have the light controls, and these light controls are with the drive, of course. The light controls, because it's the one driving, not onto the lights. They are close to him, almost. In fact, since it's the pilot, so the driver is gonna have access to all the window control, climate control, lights controls, and I don't know, maybe a 360 camera for cars that are done by black edition or Argento. So interior, then we also have apart from the second seats, of course, there are also power seats. Now, these cars, they have the capability of being 7-seaters and having, if you're not a 7-seater, that means that enough space behind that I think can take up to around like 500 kilograms or maybe, okay, maximum is around 400 kilograms of cargo. But who in life is gonna load 400 kilograms of cargo in a Prado? Guys, that's really realistic. So, and then there are cars there are Prados that you're gonna find that the tire is at the back tire. Yes, they will indicate for you the back tire. Now, if you find that such kind of Prado having a back tire, and specifically that's a TXL. Now, those cars have additional tanks. If you look closely, if you see a Prado having a back tire, look down where the tire is supposed to be. That space is another tank, and that is common in among TXL, VXL, TZG, of course GX, GXL, and the Kakadu. Yeah, the Kakadu. I'd forgotten the Kakadu is another trim of the Land Cruiser Prado.
So, okay, we're going to continue from there. There's something you talked about which hit my mind. So we're coming back to the TX, but then you talked about the luxury car and this normal car. So could you just take us through the luxury car? Then we shall come back to this later.
Luxury in terms of
and the specifications,
Prado.
the performances, and what.
Okay, now.
Briefly expound about it. Okay, in broad. Then we come back to this.
TXL has add-ons. TXL, of course, comes with a 360 camera, terms of protection, parking sensors. Of course, parking sensors cut across from all the things.
That is with a luxury.
Yeah, luxury.
Okay.
Luxury comes with the luxury, of course, by default. TXL, TZG, VXL, GXL, Hakano, and the Gear Sports 7-seaters.
And what do you mean by luxury in terms of cars?
Luxury. They are the add-ons that come with the cars. Now you can find that some cars.
And the add-on, it means what?
The add-ons are the specs that come within the car. And the fridge compartment. Then the TXL you can find in the big compartment. You can find cup holders, extra cup holders. You can find heated seats. The TX can't find the heated seats, but the TXL can find the heated seats. Now, the screen, leave alone the dashboard, but the screen, these cars can come with Apple Play, of course, Bluetooth is general. These cars come with features, of course, their maps, they are also general, but the TXL exceeds. And in some trims, in all TXL, VXL, and all the big trims, they are touch screens. And again, these cars come with, of course, differential lifts That is the tire alignment. If the car is wiggling, you can press a button. Then there's also another one, the fuel descent. For example, the car is stuck in mud, just press a button and accelerate slow, it will come out by itself. Guys, the specs are so many, and also the sunroof. You can fail to get a sunroof on a TX, but TX still by default it comes with a sunroof. And of course, yeah, climate control. Yeah, those are the
Do you have the safety alert, whatever? Are they also there?
Of course, safety alerts, as I told you, we have the parking sensors. Of course, that one is not safety. It doesn't cut. Safety cuts across each and every trim. Except we have the we have the parking sensors. We have the 360 camera. Guys, 360 camera is crucial for a car, especially in parking. We have the seat belts, the airbags. All this come within. They are general for each and every car, especially for they are general for all the trims.
So let's go back to our whatever. We shall not follow the chronological order, but we shall just rush in. Talk about the tires.
Okay. Now, of course, these cars come with an 18-inch alloy wheels, the tires. Now, for standard capabilities, these cars come with the standard tires. But if you want to change, you can go for an off-road tire. However, off-road tires don't have their own disadvantages. They make the car look bold. The presence of the car having off-road tires, it is wonderful. You know, you can see the car and say, yeah, this car is truly bold. The presence is threatening. But number one, they produce a lot of noise, off-road tires, especially if you're on a tarmac road. It's going to produce a lot of noise. You'll be hearing that irritating noise in the car, and it's supposed to be silent. Of course, now off-road it's going to perform wonderful. But again, the tires that come with it, the standard tires that come with it, they themselves are also good for off-road capabilities. And they are standard, as I tell you, on-road or forward, they work perfectly. So by tires, you have the off-road and on-road tires.
So how do you distinguish that this is an off-road and this is an off-road
Of course,
tires?
you see it by the, what is it? How can I explain this? Okay, first and foremost, they are different. An off-road tire, of course, it's a little bit bigger, more than the on-road tire, and also the curves on the off-road tire, they are a little bit more bold, like more defined, other than the on-road tire. When you see an off-road tires, you can see the let me see the markings on the tire. They're a little bit more bold, and the line within it is a little bit deeper. So it brings it, let me say, it defines it more other than the on-road tires.
Okay, what is the rim and the bonnet?
The rim. Now the rim, of course, the rim is if we're speaking about rims, we are speaking about the tires. Of course, the standard rims, those ones are adjustable, but the standard rims, of course, yeah, you can't really come without a rim. Number one, number two.
Yeah, really, the ones which are inside the tires.
Yeah.
So I get the gearbox and the gear, because I'm seeing some automatic emergency brakes. So what do you have to talk about that? And then we also add in the LSS, the lane support systems.
Now the gearbox, as I told you guys, and the brakes. Now these cars also have the second start. If you look closely in TX or TXL, you will find the second start. If the first start fails, there is a demarcation, rather a button for it for a second start for the car to start. Now brakes. I beg your pardon. You said brakes and
I talked about the gearbox.
okay.
And the automatic emergency braking. That is the EBD. And then after that, we'll talk about the LSS, that is the lane support system. I think this is in those cars which are
Yeah, of course.
the luxury cars.
If we speak about the lane support system, when you look on that, when you look on the side mirrors of that car, it has sensors. Number one. Number two, it has cameras. Now, this camera is the one that could help you within like lane management. If you look closely on the 360 monitor, rather on the monitor, you see the 360 camera, you're gonna see the demarcations. That is the lane support system, as I've seen. Gearbox, of course, if it is a manual, of course, it's a V6 engine, the gearbox is wonderful. And if it's an automatic, gearbox, all I can say it is either automatic gearbox or manual gearbox.
Then the lane support system, it works in the luxury cars, or what? Can you throw more light on that?
Lane support system, as I've told you, it works in conjunction with the 360 camera. If you look closely, now the 360 camera is this on the front spoiler, front bumper. There is a camera. Back, there is a camera. On the sides, there are cameras. Now, these cameras, by themselves, they create that lane support system. They create a line within which the car is supposed to be in. Not just they create a lane. So if you're going out, they will light up red and show you aim, and you go in the red line. So get back in the green line. So that is the lane support system. You understand?
Did you talk about the performance and the ground clearance?
Okay, now standard, unless modded, is 210 millimeters
From the ground?
from the ground. Now 210 millimeters from the ground, guys, that is absolutely mind blowing. The only car that can challenge in that, probably you can say, you can call upon a Jeep Wrangler, because the Jeep Wrangler, I believe, the ground clearance is a little bit high. But the TX, that is the standard. You won't be affected by humps, potholes, no. And also maybe in some ditches, some pits, you can't be affected by because of that ground clearance. So if you go off-road, guys, you can just fly. Let me just say. So the ground clearance is standard 2.1 centimeters by 210 millimeters rather.
What are the suspension blocks?
Suspension blocks.
Trims?
Of course, trims. By trims we mean TX, TXL, VX, VXL, GX, GXL, there's the Kakadu, and then the Kira Sport. So by trims they mean the type.
The types, eh?
Yeah.
Of the car. What of the CD player?
Of course, now the CD player that comes in entertainment. Some cars they don't have the CD player. Some cars have flashes, but it is the standard. They come with the CD player.
Power steering?
Now, power steering, it is the ability for the. There are some steerings that you can change them in the direction that you want. You can hold it like this. Most of them come like this, but you can twist it a little bit, maybe like 45 degrees or maybe like 30 degrees in the salon to make it be like this. It can come like this, but again, you want it to be like this. So that is what is meant by power steering. You can adjust it.
So that is the TV. They are also part of the thing inside.
Of course, that's the entertainment.
What of the traction? What's the traction?
Traction is specific on trucks. I mean, rather the tires. Yeah, my traction the tires. That is the off-road tires and the on-road tires.
The off-road and on-road.
Yeah.
Body type?
Now, body types, standard-wise, the TX comes with its own body type, but again, it can be modded. Additionally, you can give it modelista kits. And by modelista kits, I can say, the front bumper is changed, the rear spoiler is changed. You can give it a double exhaust. You can give it 40 rims. they can give it a sporty bumper. Yeah. So by body kits, simply those are modulator kits added on the car.
Wheel articulation.
Wheel articulation, that I don't have much information about it.
Locking center.
The locking center.
So rivals or rivals.
Rivals.
Price as tested options, color, price, wheelbase. You talked about it. Then height, width, and length.
Of course, yeah, as I said, Oscar, let me just consult you a little bit. Now, the height is 4,825.
So, let's go with what we will have. Drive train.
Because now, drive and terrain, that's what I said, 4-wheel or 2-wheel drive.
4-wheel or 2-wheel. Then the fuel economy.
The fuel economy, of course, as I said, it's a V6 engine, the consumption. Let me say, maybe 10 liters can take you up to around 200 kilometers around.
Towing capacity.
Because now that's the towing capacity, that one I spoke about it when I was explaining torque. But towing capacity simply means the pulling force. How many kilograms can you pull, or tons can you pull?
So interior comforts, you talked about it, the leathers and the stuff.
Some cars have screens at the back. Passenger seats have screens. Of course, 360 climate control and sunroof, of course.
Talk about the technology.
Now, technology, of course, these cars, Toyota has their own. Toyota has its own tech, but if I can say, these cars are being integrated with Android technology. Some are being integrated with iOS technology, and that is specifically in the entertainment system. But in terms of performance, yes, of course, these cars are the 1GD, that is the diesel, and the 2TRE, that's the petrol. I won't speak much. Go on, check us.
So power, torque, drive, we talked about it. Power to weight ratio.
No, that's when in practical terms it doesn't apply, because of course you will not even consider it.
Ride quality.
Ride quality, because that maybe you can speak about the comfort or you spoke about suspension blocks.
Not really.
Of course, now ride quality, that is about the comfort and also the smoothness on the road. That's why I told you tires, the off-road, rather the ground clearance, all these compound to the ride quality.
Handling and dynamics.
Of course, dynamic wise, now the aerodynamics on this car, you can see by itself, it's smooth. By the way, there is no car that you can never find having a box body sort of build. Why? Because such kind of cars, they consume a lot of fuel. Even if it is look at these big trucks, like for example the Mercedes-Benz Actros, it still has those smooth curves, specifically for aerodynamics. So if you see the Land Cruiser Prado TX, yes, it is smooth. It's aerodynamics plus the performance.
So that is so we talk about the value for money.
Now the value for money, of course, if you put in consideration all these factors, the entertainment system, the concrete. Okay, the value for money will come in my TX. Number one, the add-ons that are on the car, and by add-ons I mean standard. The ones that the TX can get that are on the TX, but not all. But to mention the 360 camera and the the 7-seater capability, there's two, and the rear differential. The rear differential is standard for cars. Now, given that and the mileage of the car, this car can range within 30,000 to 60,000 US dollars. And also depending on the location of the car, guys, because you can find that the market in Japan, it can range from 30,000 to 50, but when you go to the market in Australia, it stretches up to 60, 70, 80,000 US dollars minus taxes. But in terms of value, this car is worth every penny that you can ever put in it.
So your cars will be forward, do they have a warranty or a guarantee?
No, they don't have warranties and guarantees. Okay, yeah, in terms of importation, there is no warranties. And yeah, guys, if you're coming to buy, especially if you're importing a car, and the company that you're importing from doesn't have, let me say, not like cars, it doesn't have a BI, doesn't have a bond, there's no assured warranty. Even if it is a bond doesn't give, because the bond is selling second-hand cars. You can't trust me that they're going to give you a warranty of this and this and that. So with cars, warranties are given on the manufacturer is the one who gives the warranty, but not these retail sellers. So with Be Forward, for us we are like retail or wholesale. No, we are retail sellers actually. We don't give warranties. This is with the manufacturer. We also get you second-hand cars and we sell them, so we don't give warranties on second-hand cars. So it's up to the client to be considerate and understanding, and responsible with the car. So no warranty.
What if a car gets some issues, say on driving it in or from the port, it gets an accident or it gets some issues and there are damages? So who is responsible for that?
Or maybe if you did say warranty in terms before you received the car, of course that will Be Forward will manage all those costs. If the car gets an accident, yes, of course Be Forward can give you an option to choose another car. That's the guarantee part of what you're saying. And also if it gets an accident, let me say maybe it's coming from Japan to Mombasa, the ship is raided by pirates, or maybe it falls in the sea. There's an assured guarantee for that. You can also go back and get another car. Now, if it gets an accident, of course they will assess it and see if they can do repairs. Be Forward will take all the charges, but if they cannot, of course they will give you an option of getting a new car. That same price range.
The car's reached Mombasa, it has been cleared off, and then it gets the accident with the driver driving it from Mombasa to Uganda. Who is in charge of that car?
That one, the agency that you work with is the one that is in charge. Be Forward has authorization, or maybe let me say owns the car when it needs custody from Japan to Mombasa. When it reaches Mombasa, the car is handed over to the agency. So now before this work is done, I understand the agency that is working with Be Forward, like a third-party company, logistics, to take responsibility over the car. In case of any damages, in case of any accidents, the agency has to respond to that.
So you talk about the servicing and the servicing costs and the intervals, then fit purpose also. Fleet purpose.
But they probably could say that's shipping.
No. I meant fit for purpose.
Fit for purpose.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Now, as I told you, the Land Cruiser with a 2.8 engine at having off-road capabilities, having an enormous ground clearance, guys. This car is fit for purpose. I told you, this car is the best car for making money. If you're a guy like you want to make more money, buy a Land Cruiser Prado. Don't buy a G-Wagon, because the G-Wagon is gonna be expensive. Not even a G-Wagon, even if it is a yearly, it will be expensive in terms of maintenance. But buy yourself a Prado. This car, very easy to manage, very easy to service, and besides that, the spare parts are available, guys. Cheap, at a very cheap cost. Well, at a very discount cost, yeah.
Thanks for your time. Anything you'd want to add on as you are wrapping up?
The biggest mistake that, as I told you guys, is not buying a Toyota. If you are a person and you are building your network, your portfolio in terms of wealth, the best car that you can ever invest in transportation is an Land Cruiser Prado. Thank you.